Hello, hello, hello. Here we're back on another episode of One of Them Ones. I am one of them ones, Greg. I am one of the ones that said free Barabbas when it was down to either Jesus being free or Barabbas. Yep, I was one of them ones who said free Barabbas. I didn't know any better at one point in time in my life. Bad decision then. I am one of them ones who Jesus had to leave the 91.9 to go save who? Me. I was off somewhere, away from everybody, not doing what you're supposed to do, in a hole, in a pit, a ditch somewhere, not doing what I was supposed to do. And Jesus had to stop and go and come and save me. I am one of them ones that got out the boat and said, Lord, if it's really you, then they call me to you. And I got out and started walking on water and started drowning because, I don't know how to swim. But I am one of them ones. I am Greg. I am your host. I am thankful and humble and appreciative to be on here where I am seeking to go beyond 10,000 hours at this thing here, podcasting, right? That's the goal, to go beyond 10,000 hours. So let's get into today's topic, the Lone Ranger, right? We talked about being a black sheep last week. What a black sheep is essentially the planning stage of what we're going to be talking about today. The black sheep is, a mentality. It's a result. It's being an outcast. It's being rejected. It's being not accepted. It's being isolated, right? So it's almost in a sense like you're being planted. You have to break up ground in order to be planted if I'm a seed. So God uses the black sheep stage as a planting. Carl Jung had a nice quote where it basically said, no matter how lonely you may feel, no matter how lonely you are, that if you go somewhere and you work on something diligently with all of your heart, right? Now think about this as I'm talking, catch this in the spirit. You work on something, you're isolated, and you go somewhere and you work on something though with all of your heart, that people will go out of their way to seek you and find you, to see what you're working on. I'm paraphrasing, but this is essentially what we're going to be talking about today. So now, the black sheep stage, you've been isolated. You got this one-on-one time with God. You've been working on this and that because you love God and He's been the only one to receive you. Your light's shining. Guess what it's going to do? It's going to bring people to you. So we're going to be talking about that today, right? Because I feel like that's going on right now in the world today on a generational level. And I'll be looking forward to tie it all in. So I would like to we'll cover Carl Jung for my Bible scholars who are out there. First, before we get into that, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button one time for me. If you don't like anything that I'm saying so far, if you've just watched this 2 minutes and 35 seconds in and you feel like this guy is just dumb and his mustache is just ugly, please, but don't get mad and just leave. Just do one favor, drop it in the comment box so I can know and share it with somebody and subscribe still, if you can just do that. But if anything else, if you watch this whole video and you got nothing, you're lukewarm. Either you like me or you hate me. But if you're just lukewarm and you don't want to do anything, or if you got like an iPhone and it's like, oh, I don't know how to do this on an iPhone, but if you're one of them people, if you're one of them ones, still, then we don't do that on this show. We don't do nothing. You got to do something. You know what I mean? You have to do something, because doing nothing is like being what? Dead. It's like being dead. It's like, there's nothing. We don't do that here. So now, with that being said, let's get into it. In the Bible, there's a story. Bible theologians, please help me out, but I believe it's somewhere in 1 Samuel, right, where David is isolated. He's in a cave somewhere. David, being a mighty warrior, man of God, being a king, and he's being chased away by Saul. And there's a period where David was alone. Now he's away in a cave by himself, and yet he finds himself with 400 men that are all in his same boat as him. Right? They're all in the same boat as him. And he asserts himself, being the giant killer that he is, having a little name, having a little clout. He ends up leading these men. They pledge their allegiance to him. They're outlaws. They're people who gamble on whatever gambling platform you use, and you do it too much, and you just spent all your money, or you went to the game room and spent all your money. Shouldn't be doing that. And I ain't judging. I'm just saying, because this is what I got my own vices too that I mess up on. So whatever you're seeing your vice is, you done drunk it away, spent it away, tricked it away, whatever it is. He had 400 of them men there. These were all the men that wives kicked them out, right? So the wives kicked all of these men out. They all be at the cave with David, and they all pledged their allegiance to him. They all later became David's mighty warriors. My point is this. I feel like we're here in a society as well too, where a lot of us men, which that's what we pray for on 2026, that was our number one topic, right? We've been cast aside from society, got felonies, we got issues, we got gambling this or lust that, whatever it is, right? And society is now cast us aside, but it's like how do you just put somebody who's 30 years old? Now we got young men at 17, they're trying to drop felonies on them. How do you just dismiss a 17-year-old with all that potential? How do you dismiss a 30-year-old man with all this potential? How do you just go about that, right? We're being cast aside. But this is an example though, and that's where we're at. So there's this Lone Ranger mentality that has crept in because there's a difference in thinking, there's a difference in the attitude. So we have all these men who are in need of mentorship, all these men who are in need of leadership, all of these men who are in need of God. We're in need of God. Now, when we come to the Lord, we come to God, you know what? It's a new day. We've been saved, we've been healed, we've been blessed, we're ready to go. But what we're finding is that there are also a group of men who are from a different generation, and things were done differently during that generation. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I got it narrowed down to 10 categories of the Lone Ranger mentality, but why we were meant to go back into community, why we were meant, and why it's time for a shift right now. There's a shift going on. So the Lone Ranger mentality, the alpha man, I learned everything on my own and nobody helped me. And I'm not knocking it because there was a point in time that happened. Let's go into a little bit of history, bear with me, right? So back in time, it was men mentoring young men. Before we got into this revolutionary shift where it was industrialism became involved, where jobs, 9-to-5 programs became involved. But it used to be where it was men and they had their child, under them, and there was a direct one-on-one mentorship guide. However, once that shift came where men were moved from the home, going into the workforce, then the men had to raise up and had to basically learn on the fly. They had to learn by watching and not observing. They had to make mistakes and learn from that. They had to really get it out the mud, as we would say. They had to really teach themselves. They had to really go out in the wilderness and learn how to hunt themselves. So it was very rare that, and then also taking the jail perspective, men getting locked up, and all of men being removed from households. So take all of that into account. Men had to really learn how to get it themselves. Now those men are transitioning up. They're becoming older, and now there's a new generation of men where we're looking for mentorship. We are entering into a Timothy-like generation. We're looking for mentorship. We're looking for guidance. That's why you have programs like Big Brother program. We're into that. We were raised in front of a TV. We were raised where Carl Winslow's dad was like our father. So it's like we're looking for that. We were raised that, the TV raised us. It's point blank. So we're different. And it's okay. And you're a Lone Ranger and you're nostalgic. You're great, you're mighty. But this is a different time. So we're going to be talking about some of those shifts in order to bridge the gap, generationally speaking, and to educate on the environment that we're going into. So, first thing, mentorship was interrupted, right? For generations, wisdom was passed on hand to hand. War, industrialism, and workforce demands pulled us fathers away from the home. That's what we talked about. That's what pulled the men away from the home. Now you go into even a little bit more modern. It's been pretty much jail. Been jail, and it's for the dumbest reasons. Like we really need to revisit that. If y'all can, you got any juice? I don't know if somebody that has a father who's like a president or a congressional man who could pass a law. Like we really need to look at some of these incarcerations. They're dumb. I know because I didn't ran into a lot of fathers who kids. If you're out there, I didn't probably ran into y'all's dad being locked up, and I know their heart. They really want to be a father. They really want to be a dad. Hell, even my dad, he really, but he was just away for the dumbest reasons. Now we could blame it on the person, but we could also get a little bit of power, a little bit of boldness, and blame it on some of these laws we have. Just dumb, like the reason why some people are locked up. But that's why we lost a lot of our men. So it's like they're there. They need our help. They need our support. Now, church, this is where we come into play. Like we need to start wielding power. We need to start having things reviewed. We need to stop doing what? Nothing. Because doing nothing leads to no change. It leads to the same old story, same old song, and the same old people win. All right. Let's go to my point number 2, right? Men were taught to figure it out alone. That's the Lone Ranger mentality. That's the Lone Ranger mentality, which me and my boy was talking, like Lone Ranger even had Tonto at least, which is crazy. So that's how we get lied to. And we should know we watch the TV. So the Lone Ranger's name is the Lone Ranger, but he got Tonto. Tatu, whatever his name is, like he got somebody. And yet these, we're being tricked right now that all these, oh, you need to isolate for and take an ice bath. Well, okay, I go on. Let's say you need to take an ice bath and you'll become a real man. All right, let's say I isolate and I go off to this mountain by myself and I get into this ice bath and I go into cardiac arrest. I'm by myself and I'm probably gonna die because nobody. I'm gonna wait for Jesus to come down here and give me CPR. If he don't do that, I'm gone. So it's like, the isolation is cool, but we're not meant to just stay alone all the time, all day long. So that's I'm against that because we need each other. So although the isolation is a period, think of it like a class, a course that you have to check off. Don't get it twisted. It is not meant to just you go and live there. You're not supposed to just be a hermit. There's a reason why we even got the definition of that. One of you people smarter than me will figure it out. Survival replaced by teaching. So survival replaced by teaching. When provision became the priority, presence became the casualty, right? When we had to start providing to make the paper money, to buy the house, to buy the car, to buy all the marketing stuff, that it was that became the priority. So I was like, I don't need to protect my household anymore from this danger, although I'm sure like it's way more dangerous now, maybe a little bit, or I don't need to be at home as much, which I'm sure puts a lot more responsibility on these same young men that were on one instance saying that they're a little bit softer, a little bit weaker, but yet we're putting a little bit more responsibility on them at a younger age than before. Just even based off of their social demands that they have with Facebook and having a cell phone that has everything available to them in the world, right? We have nobody there to help navigate them through these feelings, these emotions. Nobody there to give the sex talk when they're looking up, pornographic things at a younger age. So, right, when we put the money over that, yeah, we suffered. We're suffering. That's how David was not in the cave. He was in the cave by himself. But that's how the other 400 men got in there. The gamblers, the lustful ones, all of that. The misfits. There we go. That's a good word. I'm a misfit, until Jesus called me, right? That's how we became misfits. And I'm not blaming everything on society. We do have to take our own actions. But again, that's how they got there. It's becoming more prevalent because we need guidance. We need mentorship. We need the birds and bees talk. We need examples. That's who we are, men who are out there. And when we put money over that, that's why we're in a bad boat. And that we're going to be entering out of that. We're going to be entering out of that. Community replaced fatherhood, right? So boys learn from peers, street systems, screens, gaining information, but lose information. In a nutshell, this is what I like to call, I learned from Tyrone and them. This is called I learned from Tyrone and them. Meaning I learned from whoever was the oldest on the block. That's who taught me. That's who raised me. If I were to tell you my birds and bees talk, it would blow your mind. It was horrible. I don't know about you, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if you had it, but if I were to tell you mine, it came from a guy who was 2 years older than me. So I'm like 7, he's 9. And I thought he had the world of knowledge. He was so smart because he could ride his bike, and I didn't know how to ride a bike yet. He taught me birds and bees. Like, it's bad. The community becomes your father, though. So you're relying upon Tyrone and them to teach you. And my bad, Tyrone, if you're watching, like, I'm not talking about you, it's metaphorically speaking, but you learn from your OGs. You learn from, the oldest kid there. If you're lucky enough to have a dad who's willing enough to be a father to the whole community, to have that mind frame where if you're in my house, you're under my care, under my rules. And if you have a parent on the other side of that who is willingly okay with knowing that once their child steps into your house, whatever your rules are goes, which you don't have that these days. Nowadays, it's everybody's it's my boundaries. So my boundaries must become your. Nah, it's like, yeah, you can have your boundaries, but once you come in my house, it's my boundaries. And my boundaries is if you go and you start jumping on the bed, I'm whooping butt. But you can't do that now because you'll get sued. So whatever. And the community is now the father. So you're leaving that up to chance when we do that. We're leaving it up to chance. And so if you don't have a strong community where there's a strong sense of beliefs, where they believe in something together collectively, then you don't have a strong father, essentially, if you're allowing the fatherhood to be the community. Now, back when the community did stand for something, was strong, all stood for the same thing, when it was enough to vote to keep the Bible reading in school, when it was enough to vote to keep the Pledge of Allegiance, those tell me a strong sign of community that have the same beliefs because they voted on these things and the vote was that. So the vote won. But we've all since got loose with it. We got things removed. So the community is now loose in fatherhood. So that is raises our children, and therefore you get the results you get. But again, the Lone Ranger though had to persevere through that type of thing. So that's why it's to be commended for those who are strong men who stood. This is what they were up against. This is what they were surviving against. And now we want to come out of that. But the Lone Ranger, because you are so gung-ho on this is how I got it, I don't got to teach nobody nothing, then we're losing a lot of valuable information. So this is, again, a public service announcement. Men are getting ready. We're ready to learn. We're ready to grow. We're ready to expand. We're ready to, but this is a mentorship we're seeking, right? And if you just have all this knowledge, all this power, and an unwillingness to share it because nobody shared it with you, you could be a Lone Ranger. And I'm just trying to here to let you know, like, come on home, Lone Ranger. It's time to put that up. Time to put that up. All right. Pain became a teacher. So again, this is for those who are Lone Ranger. Pain became your teacher, right? Hardship taught resilience, but rarely healing or emotional language. This is where you get your level of men who are not able to hug. This is where you get your level of men who cannot express themselves. They call it alexithymia. If there's a doctor on here or a mental health or a counselor, please, if I'm saying it wrong, get in the chat, make a comment about it, hit the subscribe button. Obviously, I need you if I'm saying it wrong, because I'm going to be trying to say medical stuff and I don't know how to say it right, so I need you to stick around. All right, this is where you get alexithymia from. The inability to communicate a feeling, an inability to express. In fact, it's like PTSD comes upon you when I try to hug you and you get this weird, awkward motion. Yeah, that's where it comes from, because pain was their teacher. And they learned that, okay, if I do this, this happens. Nobody was there to tell them. And they get mad because nobody was there to tell me. So why am I going? I'm not going to tell nobody. That's where you get that weird interaction from. So it's not that there's anything wrong with you, or it's just you don't know. So I'm going to tell you, that's the Lone Ranger. A Lone Ranger is a mighty hero. He'll save the day. He comes in with his horse and he does all these, and all of that was needed. But this is a different time. That mentality does not fit this generation. And if there is a battle Lone Ranger that I would challenge you to win, it'd be this one, overcoming the generational difference, because we need your advice. Again, I grew up, TV was my dad. So my ways are not going to be your ways, but God's ways is not our ways either. I was born for a time like this. I was born in a time, place, and space. But you were too. But now we got to bridge the gap. So the pain was the Lone Ranger's teacher. This is where we need you to understand, though, that we need you to express emotional language. We need to hear it. We need you to show the healing. We need you to articulate the healing. We need you to understand what even happened for you to get in that position, because we learn audibly. We learn by knowing in that aspect. We learn by, like, we need it to be taught like a story almost, because we learn from the TV. We can think of all kind of stuff. We have phones now and internet and all that different things where we can get answers right now. But one thing we can't get is that authenticity from somebody who's lived through it. So we need to hear it from y'all, Lone Rangers. Like y'all already have the clout because you've already did all these great things. But do you have the ability to overcome the fear of not being able to express a terrain that you've never been on, which is feelings? Can you beat that monster? Can you slay that last giant? We're rooting for you, Lone Ranger. All right, number 6, COVID exposed the gap. This is what I'm saying as we're entering a shift. I use a bunch of words like industrialism and all that. Yeah, okay. But let me just get you right here. So this is where we're coming from. So when we were forced to go back home, many realized that they were present but not prepared. Who remembers when you had to do it, boy? Woo! Who remembers when you had to do online school with your kids? I had 5 at the time, 4 and 3 in school, one in 7th grade, 2 in 6th grade, one in starting off kindergarten. So I had 3 different. Imagine having to go in one aspect, be present for geometry, then be present for how do you say the letter A. And it's a pandemic going on, and I'm not working anymore. And the COVID deal is, let's just be honest, who is more equipped to be working from home? Customer service jobs. Sometimes nurses are used to, traveling nurses. They work inside a home, so you can still technically do that. Maybe computer engineers, things of that nature. Who are concierge, customer service, whatever, but who are predominantly in those roles? So there's a shift. So the women are able to go and run in stride. Now, if you're not working, you got to fill in that gap. Who's mainly at home lately has been, men, either unemployed or whatever it is. So there was a shift. We're back in the house. We're back present. If you were outside, now you've been brought back inside, and now you have to address this new threat, which is online schooling. That's a threat. So online schooling. You got a new Goliath, online schooling. Who remembers that?
I had 4 laptops, 4 kids, 4 teachers, 8 hours a day, 4 quarantines.
Well, man said if we have 4 laptops, 4 kids, that's 4 different 8-hour-a-day shifts, 4 different versions of quarantine. It's hard, but that was just to highlight the times. So now you're back home, you're present. COVID unleashed the gap. COVID just showed the shift. And if you know anything, throughout history, once control is switched in any way, it's crazy to get things back to how to put things back in that box, get things back in the bottle. So the shift was a lot of men. You're starting to realize that you had to really change. I went from running a nursing home, Brookdale Senior Living. I was there for 7-8 years. I was executive director. I was the oversee staffing for 60 caregivers. I had 2 sales and marketers. I had a maintenance man. I had physicians that reported to me as far as the overall come up with a healthcare plan for over 117 residents. Had an Alzheimer's activity coordinator, and I had an assisted living coordinator. So very large staff. I had to learn how to do construction. I had been doing healthcare for 17 years. And me saying I had to learn how to do construction sounds good, because really what I was doing is just cleaning brushes and struggling. But I had to do what I had to do in order to survive. I had to do what I had to do to survive. Case in point, there was a shift. And that went on, let's not talk about the depression. I went from making $35 an hour to like $10 an hour with 5 kids. So yeah, depression, boy. But Lone Ranger, it was different. Y'all had war, you had all these things going on. But this is where we needed y'all, is we need to know how you felt during that time. Because if there's one thing that I know, y'all didn't talk about feelings back then. So nobody knew what was going on, even though I'm sure the wife and kids felt it. But here, we have to talk about it. See, those same people on the other side, they grew up, and their message has been the same. With how you feeling? How you doing? I want to know. It's been the same throughout history. So they're pretty adamant. They want to know how you feel. We got to crack. We've had a change. We had a shift. And so how I feel is I'm scared. I'm struggling. I'm this and that. And we've been dumping on our women, and we've had no support. But when we do have support from, our older generation, it helps. We need to know how it was when you went off to war. We need to know how it was when you were away from the family 3 tours. We need to know how it was when on the second tour, so-and-so died, and you came back and you were numb emotionally, but you still had to smile. And you didn't have a bottle to drink it away. We need to know. But if you're a Lone Ranger, it's just everything is just you just persevere. You just do it. That don't work right now. It's not gonna work. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked, and it didn't work then. But you are a hero. You should be celebrated. You should be deserved because you went through some horrendous things, and you did it, and you made it through, and you still made a way to survive and persevere and provide. But those tools don't work nowadays. Nowadays, you probably be called a narcissist. Nowadays, you probably would be arrested immediately and put into several rehabs because of the amount of drinking. And nowadays, you'll be vilified because that's just where we are right now. That's just how we do things. So we need to know how you navigated those things because we learned through that talking. And also, we need some grace for us who are going through those things because you know what? David had a room full of 400 misfits. They were misfits though, but those same misfits became what? Mighty man of God and became David's mighty man. Same people, just different perspective and giving grace to become those things. That's what we need right now in society too. We need a little bit of grace. Too mean. Being mean to us. Now we can be a little tougher too.
Mighty men because they were around God's chosen, you know.
That's right. Iron sharper than iron. Not just off alone. So, Lone Rangers, we need you. We need somebody to guide it. We need a Mr. Miyagi. Where is he at? We need you, Mr. Miyagi. And we need Carl Winslows. We need him. But if y'all Lone Rangers, y'all still out fighting battles, it's like, man, is he like it gets old after a while. Like, you're still at war? Like, you never coming home? We need grandparents. That's why I say we need grandparents. That's why I was on my 2026. If you see the other video, we're praying for grandparents. Same thing, we need grandmas. Grandma has become Nana now, and Nana want to be in the club with the granddaughter. Nothing, I'm not knocking it. Stella, you need your groove back? Cool. It's just we kind of need, if there's a part in the Bible where it says that women are teaching, women of honor are teaching other ones who are young and in a gentle, teachable spirit, and men who are being mature are teaching the men young. It's not teaching by showing us how to remain in the club till we're 70. We cool on that. All right. Number 7, a new generation is asking the different set of questions. This is why I said that I'm here as a representation of against the do as I say, not as I do movement generation. The one where they would tell you to be quiet, stop talking. This is grown folks' business. There's a different way to say that and a different set of questions that are being asked right now. You cannot just no longer tell us you shouldn't be drinking that, and then 2 seconds later, I see you drinking it. That don't work no more because my eyes are just, I can't help it. I just feel like fire in my bones when I see that, and I have to say something. And then I ask another question, and now you get mad at you whip me senselessly because I'm disobedient. But no, it's just I see it. Oh, you should be hanging out with so and so. Then why are you hanging out with so and so who acts just like this person I'm hanging out with? You're telling me well, but you ain't doing well. So I'm confused. And then I ask questions about the being confused, and then you whip me senselessly. That don't work no more. Different set of questions, right? Today's men aren't just asking how to survive; they're asking how to live as well too. That's what we're doing. We don't want to know just how to make it, just to hold on. No, we want to know like how did you make mom happy? Like for 40 years. What did you do? We don't want to just be hanging on. We want to really make it. Now, if you don't know, this is where it gets scary. You gotta now navigate through feelings. Or if you do know, but you don't know how to say it, you gotta now be vulnerable. Did I say that right? Vulnerable. I know y'all don't like that word. We're asking a different set of questions. Will you be gracious enough to give us an answer, Lone Ranger? This ain't a knock. This ain't a bash with you. This is just an encouragement. This is just me calling you out. I want to see the Lone Ranger in action. It's just not in that action. I can do that action. I want to see it in this new land type of action, new territory type of action, one that's unfamiliar to you. I talked about it again in the other video in the Army. We changed uniforms for a reason. We went from jungle greens to the new ones for a reason. It's a different land. So Lone Ranger, we need to still see you, just in a different land. Are you gonna answer it? Can you be Caleb and Joshua, spiritually speaking, or do you need to move around? All right. Number 8, older generation struggling to relate. So this is going, as far as, again, those who learn alone sometimes do not know how to teach, only to endure. And this is where we, younger generation, we need to have compassion for the Lone Ranger. That's why you're hearing me throughout this video saying, man, we appreciate you. You're a great, the heroics, the way you did things and persevered through that time deserves to be commended. Deserves it. It demands it. You have my respect. I know it, like you have it. You have it. But can I have your respect too? Can you respect me too? Right? Not to do the Me Too movement, but like, can you see me as well? It may look like a certain way. Clothes may look baggier, but you got to remember, like, you were wearing platform shoes with fishes in it, like a pimp. You were dressing in lime green and picking out your fro. And I mean, can you persevere with mine just because my clothes are a little baggier? Just because I gotta. I do see. I mean, just because I wear a do rag or a hat. I mean, I see young men today, and I'm going to show the young men respect. I know young men who wear bonnets and slides. That's what they wear these days, and they'll do you in. They're just as everything. They got fingernail polish now. Treat them with disrespect you want to. It'll be a long day for you because they're a man too. Like, they still got to be treated that way. There is no like blueprint. Like, everybody has a culture. Everybody's culture is in charge of the world. That's why this world is not our world. We get it. So we got to respect each other. We're all going to the same place anyway. Every knee gonna bow anyway. The goal ain't to be here anyway. It's like all the time. So we, older generation, just respect us a little bit. But I respect y'all. That's what you heard me talk about my grandfather on here. I have the highest respect for y'all, older generation. And out of respect, this is where I see y'all struggle. That's why I came. This is Lone Ranger's mentality. I'm seeing it with y'all mainly. But anybody can develop this when they're alone. And that's why we're doing this, to encourage you not to remain in this, because there is a certain level of gifts that God gives us when we're alone, and we can become enamored with that, and we can become detached from everything else. But we're meant to be community, y'all. We're meant to be that way. And so, older generation, y'all struggle, and it's hard to relate because this is just a different set of questions that are asked right now, and we need you though to answer it. All right. So number 9. This is where it applies to everybody. So not just the older generation, but this is anyone. Like I just said, when you're alone and you're in the Lone Ranger season, you can become enamored with that. You ain't got to deal with nobody. There's that rap song. I'm one deep. I don't need nobody. That mentality is bad. Once was necessary is now misunderstood as a value, right? Which is the Lone Ranger mentality is necessary. It's a class that needs to be checked off, but it's not meant for you to become it. A lot of Moses' issue probably could have been solved if he had practiced talking to people, right? A lot of frustration comes along because people are asking you questions now, and you get so frustrated and you start hitting stuff or whatever it may be. It's like that can be alleviated by integrating yourself with those around you. The being alone is something that is needed to receive instruction. But think about it. Why are you receiving instruction? I don't think there's a military leader in the world that would be called, hey, I need you to come to this meeting right now. I'm going to tell you what to do to win the war. And then they just stay in the office. And it's like, you're given instruction to give instruction. There's a chain to everything. You're getting a gift. You're getting blessings to be a blessing. Highlight to my rich people out there, like, it's like you're getting money to yes, take care of yourself. Now you're getting money to be a blessing though. Now take care of yourself, but there's always overflow. You're being given an opportunity so you can give somebody else an opportunity. You're given pain, not to be a pain in somebody else's butt, but to tell somebody else how to overcome it. That's the goal. So don't get enamored with it being a lone part. Don't glorify it. Don't come up with 10 reasons why. I mean, you can do that, yes, because again, if it's a class, but don't just keep it to where like that's the lifestyle that you have to be in. Yes, being a black sheep is being outcasted, but being healed is being able to still keep trying, being able to go back to the people who have hurt you and smile. That's how you really get them anyway. All right. Number 10, this is the moment to rebuild the bridge that I'm taking right here by doing this. Hardship taught resilience, but rarely healing or emotional language. So, the bridge. I'm gonna get off y'all Lone Rangers. I'm gonna get on to my generation right now. Now, here's the deal. Just be honest with yourselves. We are a little bit softer. We're a little bit weaker. I don't know about you, but when I do construction, I do not like it when the little sawdust and stuff get in my eye. It burn. I don't like it.
You know what sawdust is?
Whatever. I don't know what is it.
Man glitter.
See, man glitter. I said, that's all right. All right. We're a little bit weaker, y'all. I got allergies. What are you gonna do about it? I got allergies. My throat start itching. It hurts. It hurts. I don't want to be out there all day. I don't like the sun. Some of us got sun poisoning now. That's crazy. But we're weaker. This generation is weaker. But we're smarter. I don't mean that cocky or anything. It's just saying, like Lone Ranger, when I give you a computer, you shoot it. Ah. Draw. You start draw. Like, no, it's not. No. Just go to the internet, right? So it's a difference. There's a gap to be bridged, right? So we need to learn how to persevere, younger generation, because we're about to go through some horrendous things. We need to learn how to endure. Even our wars have been kind of like, right? I'm not trying to downplay anything, but when there was chemical gas involved, a little bit different. No disrespect to, and I don't want to be insensitive to anyone who has lost a loved one or hurt the wounded warriors. None of that, because all of them are built from the same cloth, which is men that are beyond all of this, right? Men and women who defend our country, I commend you. Our wars, though, from World War I to now is just different. But I feel like, and I really feel led by this, again, there's a shift. Part of that shift is going to be with warfare as well. Drones. Now I got the ability to get you anywhere, anytime, any place. Wars on drugs is getting more ruthless by the day. Trafficking, getting more ruthless by the day. And the people that are involved in it and on it, wickedness in the high places, is ramping up. We need to learn resilience. It's been cushed, it's been chill, it's been real relaxed, comparatively speaking. And again, this is from a generational lens that I'm talking here. So I need you to look at this from a generational perspective. I'm not just talking about 10 years, 20. I'm generationally speaking. Vietnam, horrible. We're at that place. Lone Ranger, we need you because we need to learn how to persevere. We need to learn how to toughen up. Lone Ranger, we need you because we need to know how the things that you went through, so that way we can have our minds set at peace. Lone Rangers, we need to know how you found God. Even on the spirit, this Lone Ranger attitude is in the church mainly, is what I'm talking about too. It's my pulpit and I'm going to be the only one. Cool. But we only hear what you want to teach us. We only hear how you want to teach us. We only hear what you feel God has led you to teach on. When you got 4 or 5 other men, all worthy, perspective there. But this whole is my way or the highway. This whole, like, you did a lot of great things, but we needed the gap, the bridge. We needed field. Show us how to do it. This is a collective now. Our ways are just different. And we need to see it. We need to see it. So Lone Ranger, we commend anyone who has that, who's in that season of being alone, right? Learn everything in this season. Like that Carl Jung quote goes, those who work on something, once you're alone, there should be a period of like, man, all right, I do miss this, I miss that person, but there should be a reality that sets in that this is what it is. Once the jail doors close, you can sit there and get on that phone, which that's the devil when you're locked away, like, and then call people all day long. Hey, I need, and they can give you the baba, the pacifier, right? But you'll be missing out on something. Look at the man or woman who, in their period alone, they just go ahead and get stomped down in it. So go ahead and get settled when you're alone, and receive instruction, receive the blessing. But don't just stay there though forever. It's selfish. There's a level of fear that's there. It's like you don't want to. Why don't he? You don't ever want to be the kid that don't. Why he don't come outside? That kid is always something wrong with him. The one that don't ever come outside. The he's always something wrong. Like why he don't go nowhere? Y'all know I'm being honest. Don't be that way. True healing is when you're able to get hurt, and then you're able to overcome that hurt and still go face whoever, whatever, whenever. With the gracious attitude. To me, that's healed. But when you have this Lone Ranger mentality, it looks good. You have a lot of gifts, but something ain't right. Like I still wonder about, even Superman had Lois Lane. Batman is the one who ain't never had nobody, and look, he's at nighttime wearing a mask. Like, is something wrong with it? It's weird. I respect Batman. I love him. He's my favorite, though. But, I mean, come on, think about it. It's a little something weird to it.
Well, you used to have Robin.
Yeah, he had Robin.
That's a long time ago.
Long time. So, like, yeah, everybody got somebody, though. Now, Batman, he was out there alone a long time, but even him, yes, he got Robin. I mean, yeah, he got Robin. Case in point, though, like you're not supposed to just be out there alone, like doing it. No, in no area of your life, none. Yes, you have periods where you need to get alone, but in no area should you just remain alone. I'm standing on that. I believe so. All right, that's in everything. This is a generation where it's mentorship. Paul and Timothy generation. Everything needs to be in exchange. Men, you should have a Timothy around at all times. Somebody younger than you that you're mentoring to, that you're feeding into. This is not our world anymore. You need to be preparing tomorrow's generation for them to take care of it. I am here for my grandchildren's grandchildren. I am trying to establish this house, a house for them to invest and put into a trust fund for them to then use that for stability and the leverage, and everything should be a transaction in a mentorship capacity. I am learning this skill to pass it on, right? We need that. That's why there's beauty in construction work. I love it for this reason, not because I'm good at it, because it's something that you could teach your son, and then he can go anywhere in the world and now be able to make money. Now, can you teach kids how to be a doctor? You can, but you're then dependent upon books. You're dependent upon different skill sets, as opposed to someone who could teach your kid how to be a barber, or teach your kid how to be a, whatever it is. But you should be teaching your kids. It should be a mentorship involved. No matter what it is. Kids, take joy in knowing that your parents are trying to teach you. That's not a normal thing. That's a blessing, right? If your parents own a barbershop and they want you to take over the family business, you should be thankful. What they're doing is giving you years worth of stress. I would happily do that. I wish my parents would have had something to pass on to me. So you're not just stumbling around in the dark, being a starving artist. And know though that yes, even if art is your form that you're going to, you're going to starve at days, yes. But still be striving towards something, and still be having somebody who you're able to pass on just a little bit of knowledge to. If I'm trying to go somewhere and I know one more step more than you do, I should be trying to teach you that one step. Everything should be transactional. Everything should be relational. But to just be alone and to die with all that knowledge would be a travesty. So Lone Rangers, those with the Lone Ranger mentality. And again, the older generation, I may have been heavy on you on this today because this is not all about you, but there is a shift going on, and a part of that shift is the friction of the mindsets of nobody ever showed me, nobody ever taught me, nobody ever did this for me, versus bro, we're just trying to make it. We're just needing we you know what I mean versus the collective. We're just trying to make it. We've been on these group chats. We've been talking. We think this is a good idea. Well, nobody did that for me. Like, so there's a shift going on, and in that shift, there's a friction, and it's blocking. It's holding up a lot because we're trying to fight the Lone Ranger. And now think about it. This is how strong you are, Lone Ranger. It takes like 9 of us to get you out the way, but we don't want to get you out the way. We want to work with you really, but you don't. It's not a war. It's not a we're trying to get you off the hill. You could just retire, maybe, or and elevate. All the greats in history did it. Paul had a Timothy to pass things on to. Dr. Miles Monroe is big on that. That he don't want to just be. He didn't want to. When he was here, God rest his soul. He wanted somebody to pass things off to, and he based his success off of how good they were. That's the mentality that we need. That's why I say I'm not here for me anymore. I didn't live my life. I didn't have fun. I've been rich. I didn't been poor. But now I want to see that what God has given me, and I want to see it manifest in someone else's life, and I want to see them take the ball with it and run and break all records. Because I know that if they really learned anything from me, then they learned to not only just break all the records and do all these great things, but also be humble enough to teach somebody else and keep this thing going and know that that came from God. That's the mindset. That's the inheritance that God is talking about. So I wish y'all a good night. Thank you for this. If you would, hit the like button, subscribe button. But most importantly, just know, like, I am one of them ones, but I know that anybody who's an outcast, anybody who feels alone, anybody who's a Lone Ranger, anybody who's a black sheep, anybody who's an outstanding citizen, whoever you may be, that God loves you, that every knee's gonna bow one day. So I choose to just get with it now, and I encourage all of us to just go and look for change. There's so much wrong going on in the world. Let's really be about the change. Let's be the change we want to see. In Jesus' name.
Yeah. Turn me up. Yeah.